Today I found out about not one, but two interesting stories about Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel. Now, one of these stories happened to be from Twitter, so take it with a grain of salt because there's no way to verify it. It's a he said, she said type of story, but it's very interesting nonetheless. You see, apparently in America, if you're a head of state visiting the US, you get a lot of perks. And one of these perks is that the government staff, which is supposed to make you feel comfortable, offers various services. And one of these services is that they will clean your laundry for free. So, for instance, if you're the head of state of Britain and you're flying all over to the United States and you're sweating a lot because you're flying in a Boeing, you see your life flashing before your eyes. When you finally reach the US, you got a sweaty shirt and you got a television appearance the next day. So the staff that the American government hires will do your laundry for free. Now, it turns out that almost no one takes advantage of this perk, simply because most people come prepared with backup laundry, and they also don't have the time for this nonsense, right? Like, they're heads of state, they're going there in order to fulfill something. But there is one exception to this rule, and that seems to be Benjamin Netanyahu. And from what I found out on Twitter is that he usually brings his dirty laundry in a suitcase in order to take advantage from this perk. I guess this is a way to assert dominance, right? I found that amusing. Again, I don't know if it's true or not, but it sounds like a funny story nonetheless. However, today I found the second story, and this one is definitely true. You see, I woke up with reading about this. Enhanced security measures in place at the DC hotel where Netanyahu is staying. Now, the weird thing about it is that if there's enhanced securities, why are you even mentioning it in the press? I remember when Zuckerberg wanted to go to, had to go to the Senate meeting in Washington, he actually refused to disclose at which hotel he is staying. Which makes sense, right? Like, the anonymity provides an extra layer of safety. I don't know how it's like for official heads of states, but again, why is it needed to be disclosed? So this was one of the things that I found it bizarre. Again, this is the mainstream press, right? Like, it's not an obscure website. But they're basically saying that, okay, well, we're raising up security. And a couple of hours later, I read about this. The DC Palestinian Youth Movement, or Hamas terrorists, depends where you're reading it from. Like, I've heard both of these titles being used by journalists, released maggots and crickets throughout the Watergate Hotel. Again, why did they announce the hotel is beyond me? And they also pulled multiple fire alarms throughout the night. I wonder if this is a way to alleviate the conspiracy theories surrounding the assassination attempt of Donald Trump. Because a lot of people are starting to ask questions like, how is this level of incompetence possible? And certain people are believing that it's malice. Even Donald Trump himself has been viewed in a couple of interviews wondering, like, how the fuck was it possible that people were this careless, right? So maybe we get to see that even with the heightened security at a hotel, you still can't keep a couple of activists from pulling fire alarms and unleashing one of the 7 plagues of Egypt. Which one is the one with the locusts? Was it number 1 or number 2? I forgot. I did read the Bible, but my proficiency in it has declined a little bit. I know that, like, after God released the locusts, he also summoned the wind and pushed the locusts north, if I remember correctly. Like, send them somewhere in Africa. Like, no, seriously, like, can you imagine if you're just, like, some random tribe minding their own business, and then it's, like, a huge wave of locusts coming over, and is it like, well, did you do something to upset God? Well, not really. It's just that he was messing with the Pharaoh, and he considered that it's enough, so now he pushed the locusts all the way. Maybe this is, like, what's happening, huh? It's like the hotel was in the way of collateral damage. Like, he was pushing it away from Egypt. And where did they even keep these insects, though? Like, they're not props. They're not CGI. They're actual living, breathing organisms. So you gotta feed them. They produce waste. And I've seen the footage. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. I'm not going to show you all the images unless, you know, you want to see maggots or something. It's not very pleasant, but there's a lot of them. So, like, how did they keep them? Is my question. Yeah, I mean, the whole thing with the security, man. Like, what's up with security in the United States lately? I think it's a competency crisis. Is the only way you can explain this. Like, this wouldn't have happened in the past. Like, there are people that are not hired because they are the best in the field and because they can complete the job. This much is obvious at this point. I'm not saying, like, this is tied to Donald Trump or anything like that, but, again, we're talking about an event and you have, like, massive failures all around. Like, first of all, disclosing the name of the hotel in the news. Like, what the fuck, right? Like, especially in the charged climate. And by the way, I'm not sweeping for any prime minister or whatever. Like, I'm not saying that you should be on his side or another. I'm just, like, talking about the actual security safety. And, of course, like, if this is the level of security safety they can provide for a head of state, well, imagine what it's like for the other politicians. So maybe people like AOC and other leftists who are constantly chanting about defund the police, like thinking, oh, well, I got government protection. Well, this is what the best of the best look like at the moment. It's a little bit concerning. By the way, I need to make a video probably tomorrow so you guys can see AOC actually asking the Secret Service lady, and she's genuinely curious, and you can see on her face that she's genuinely concerned. Like, again, she is one of the politicians that wanted to defund the police, and she doesn't want guns. And probably because she's, like, surrounded by an army of Secret Service agents. But when she sees the Secret Service agents in action, when she sees how they perform, she's getting a little bit worried. She's getting a little bit concerned, and you can see on her face. It's going to be a beautiful video tomorrow. We're going to talk about that. It's absolutely insane. But yeah, you're free to interpret this event any way you like. And I'm pretty sure, like, most people will fall into the trap of bringing politics in it. It's, if the people are on the side of Palestine, like, they're left-leaning people, they'll be like, ah, well, haha, look what happened to him. And people on the right that are pro-Israel would be like, oh, how can someone do this? But the way I look at it is that the security failure, and if I was American, I'd be concerned because you notice these failures happening all across the board lately. As I mentioned before, you got Boeings falling out of the sky, you got massive entertainment industries unable to produce culture and entertainment like they used to, Secret Service agent unable to protect VIPs, the lady from in charge of the Secret Service agent unable to answer basic bitch questions. Like, it's a failure all the way across the board. La cocaína in the White House, no one knows how it got there. Boot sex in the Senate, no one knows how it happened. You know, like that type of thing. It's very bizarre. I guarantee to you, if Benjamin Netanyahu or any other head of state visits Romania, this shit wouldn't happen. And we're a poorer country, by the way. We don't have access to the same resources that the United States have. It's very interesting, isn't it? No, but, like, ask yourself, do you think if you visit Poland or Hungary or any of these countries, do you think, like, that type of thing would happen? Like, you would have random people pulling the fire alarm at the hotel? And again, it's not about Netanyahu. It can be literally any head of state. Anyone, right? Like, when you visit the country, you're supposed to be guaranteed safety by that nation? It's just insane. Let me know what you guys think, though. And as usual, I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.